We cross now to the under 23 women's quad scull finals. Sclatch, lane 1. Lane 2, North Esk. Lane 3, Adelaide UTS Composite. Lane 4, Brisbane and GPS Composite. Lane 5, Pine Rivers, Brisbane and GPS Composite. Lane 6, Sydney Western Australian Rowing Club. Then follows University of Queensland Composite and Melbourne University Composite. As they came through the 1,000 metre mark, it was a University of Queensland Composite in lane 7 that led.
Yeah, and you can see they're doing quite well at the front of the course. Lily Alton, part of that crew. She was 5th in the single, in the under-23 women's single. Taylor McCarthy Smith was 6th in that event. Rhea Thompson taking gold in that particular event, the 23 single, and silver with Lily Alton in the double. So they're pretty strong and looking like they're going to claim gold in this one at the moment. It's a boat length and a half, potentially even 2 boat lengths, I think, back to the Sydney WA Rowing Club crew. 4:57.05, Sydney WA Rowing Club, 3:89. And then a further 4.5 seconds back, North Esk in 3rd, the Tasmanians. Can they clinch a bronze medal? It looks promising at the moment with Adelaide in 4th place, that combined crew with UTS.
So Taylor McCarthy Smith, of course, Ben, rode at the World Junior Championships last year and the Youth Olympics in Argentina, and she now rows for the Canberra Rowing Club and has a QAS scholarship. She's sitting in the 3-seat of the leading boat there.
And that leading boat has Rhea Thompson, who won this event last year with Mercantile in 2018.
In the stroke seat by the looks, and then Lily Alton in 2, and Alexandra Wrigley of Tamar up in the strokes in the bow seat there with the big T on her back.
You won't miss that, and you're not going to miss them because they are a long way in front at the moment. There is a response, somewhat of a response, coming from the crew in 2nd place at the moment from Sydney, including Romola Davenport, Mia Thompson, Isabel Johnson and Harriet Hudson. Gold in that double and silver in the 23 single, Harriet Hudson. But won't be enough in this particular race. The under-23 women's quad scull, the Uni of Queensland Composite with a little bit of Tasmania in there as well, powering through towards the line, a couple of strokes, and they will be the Australian champions. Really powerful performance from the Uni of Queensland Composite.
Great effort from North Esk over there, a straight club crew finishing in 3rd place. So well done to North Esk and Trevor Barrett, their coach.
And Tassie have had a great morning of racing, getting bronze there.
Absolutely. As has Western Australia.
4th place to UTS and Adelaide, and 5th, just crossing the line now, is the crew from Melbourne Uni. Composite crew there, and lane 4 is going to cross Brisbane and GPS Composite with Griffith Uni, Surfers Paradise and also Corio Bay. And we've got 1 crew left, and that is the Pine Rivers, Brisbane and GPS Composite.
So the unofficial result there when that Pine Rivers, Brisbane and GPS crew cross the line will be 1st lane 7 University of Queensland Composite, 2nd lane 6 Sydney N-Swiss. In 3rd place is lane 2 North Esk, 4th Adelaide Composite, 5th is Melbourne Uni Composite, 6th Brisbane and GPS Composite, and 7th with about 4 strokes to go is Pine Rivers, Brisbane and GPS Composite, and the winning time unofficially 6 minutes 37.46. So that's the under-23 women's quad scull. Joe Joyce to present. Just a bit of rain on the window there again, Ben.
It's coming down. It's meant to clear up this afternoon. I've been talking about it clearing all morning, and now it's come down again. So maybe I'm telling a lie. I'm not an expert in this department. So anyway, we've got another final, Ray. This should be a cracker.
Yes, lane 2 is Canned Composite. There's a number of clubs represented there. And the under-23 men's coxed 8 for the Australian Federation of Old Oarsmen Trophy. Lane 3, Sydney N-Swiss. Lane 4, Melbourne University VIS. Lane 5, Sydney University N-Swiss. Lane 6, Melbourne University Composite. And Lane 7, Western Australian Rowing Club Fremantle Swan River Composite. Due to go at 10:15, so despite the rain, the boat race officials doing an outstanding job and the regatta running right on time. not as pleasant for the spectators today, but I just checked. We've had the best part of 48,000 views of the live streaming, so outstanding, and we hope you're all enjoying it at home.
Whether you're watching here at SIRR or whether you're watching at home, yeah, it's been a great week to bring the live stream to you.
If you are at SIRR, I'd encourage you to go up and have a look at the beautiful old Donna Ratigo wooden boat that hopefully will come down in a display row at about 2:15 or so today. It's a 1955 wooden boat that the ADF crew will row later on this morning, or later today actually. New riggers made by John Dreesen of Rowfit, and beautiful wooden oars made by Howard Croker of Croker Oars.
Yeah, saw them setting that up yesterday. Plenty to look forward to today. And the crowd building nicely. We've almost got a full grandstand here at SIRR, as you can see. But we've got to start in the under-23 men's coxed 8 for the Australian Federation of Old Oarsmen Trophy. The current holder of this title, Sydney University. Now 5 members of that crew remain in this year's crew. That includes Devlin Walsh, along with Brooking, Chambers, Britt and O'Shannessy. You remember Marcus Britt alongside Will O'Shannessy won gold in the pair, but they won silver in the 4 to that Melbourne University composite crew. 4 members of that crew who beat them: Nick Lavery, Joe O'Connell, Ed Wormsley and Rowan Lavery. And Nick Lavery, he's the only remaining member of the crew that finished in second place to Sydney Uni last year in this event. So can he get revenge? At the moment, they're just ahead of the Sydney Uni crew. There's nothing better than the old Victorian and New South Wales rivalry. Maybe the Queensland and New South Wales rivalry. It's right up there. But Melbourne Uni and Sydney Uni, such a storied rivalry. And it's going to go to the wire in this under-23 men's coxed 8. Look at lane 5 and 6. Those two with crews that have done so well, as I mentioned, in the pairs and the 4s during the week.
But who's out there leading? Lane 6, is it Melbourne University Composite that leads there, Ben? Looks like it.
It is. Can they take down the defending champions? I'm sure they would love to do that. And at the moment, they're just under a second ahead of Sydney Uni. Sydney in 3rd, Cairn Composite in 4th.
So Max Cooper, Maxwell Fisher, Harrison Miller, Harry Fox, Nick Lavery, Joe O'Connell, Edward Wormsley and Rowan Lavery, and Nick Doughty, the coxswain, and coaches Michael Poulter and Matt Ryan in that Melbourne University composite crew. The Lavery brothers, one who's registered with the University of Technology Sydney and the other who's registered with the Melbourne University Boat Club. And they're in the leading boat, albeit in the first 500 metres or so. Pretty quick, 122.78, just 0.82 in front of the Sydney University Boat Club crew.
And you can see Cairn Composite, they're right up there. They're in 4th at the 500 metre mark. They're in lane 2. They've got Elliot Apel and Adam Barker from the pair who finished 4th in the under-23 men's pair.
So we have in lane 8, just not appearing on my program, but certainly there is an Adelaide Mercantile composite crew. You can certainly see the Mercantile singlets up in the bow of lane 8, and they're not far off the pace as the 2 leaders move about a length clear is the Melbourne Uni crew and the Sydney University Boat Club crew right there with them, Ben.
Yeah, and I think that has Ben Canham in it, that Mercantile crew. He grabbed a bronze medal in the men's under-23 pair as well. But there is Melbourne University out in front, just leading Sydney University as it stands currently. Over the 1,000 metre mark, it was still a similar advantage. It was about 1 second. So that Sydney University crew, as I mentioned, it has Marcus Britt and Will O'Shannessy. Gold in the under-23 pair. And they teamed up with Lachlan Miles and Morgan Brooking for silver in the 4. Devlin Walsh 8th in the single, and Leon Chambers was 7th in the open single. Walsh 8th in the under-23 single. So there you go. Still holding on to about a 1 second advantage, Melbourne University. As Sydney look to make it 2 straight. in 2019. It's looking like it could be a difficult task at the moment, but there's still enough time remaining for them as they approach the 1,500-metre timing hut.
And the peloton very vocal there. You can see them holding their hands up and trying to use their hands a bit like a megaphone as they cover the one side of their face. And certainly Melbourne University and Sydney University are the two crews that are responding to those urgings from the coaches, Ben.
Well, they are, and they've increased their advantage to almost 2 seconds. Melbourne University back to Sydney University. Mercantile Composite, that crew with some strong sweep rowers in it, in third place in bronze at the moment. Sydney in fourth, Cairn Composite fifth, WA Rowing Club Composite sixth, and then Melbourne Uni well back in seventh, their second crew. So the big question is there a surge from Sydney, or will Melbourne cause the upset against Sydney University?
Matt Ryan, the coach of the Melbourne University crew there, along with Michael Polder. I can see Matt on the far side in his grey Rowing Australia jacket from his own rowing days, and doing a fantastic job at Melbourne University Boat Club since he joined their coaching staff in recent times, also coaching the first 8 at Wesley College in Melbourne.
Well, the Mercantile Adelaide Composite, they're not out of it at all, as are Sydney, who are really powering through, but it's still Melbourne University holding off Sydney University with 100 metres to travel, and they're doing it quite nicely at the moment. Maybe half a boat length still. Mercantile and Adelaide in bronze, but Sydney are really coming at them for the minor medals, but it's Melbourne University who upstage the defending champions. Sydney Uni silver, and bronze is going to go to Mercantile and Adelaide. And Nick Lavery gets a little bit of revenge. He's in that crew after he had to settle for silver last year against Sydney Uni. This year, he claims gold. Mercantile bronze, Sydney fourth, Cairn Composite fifth, WA Rowing Club Composite in sixth, and then Melbourne Uni finish it all off in seventh place.
So unofficially, we've got Melbourne Uni UTS first, Sydney Uni second, Mercantile Composite third, Sydney Rowing Club fourth, Cairn Composite fifth, Western Australian Rowing Club Composite sixth, and in seventh place is the Melbourne University Boat Club crew, winning time 5:39.18. That's not slow, 5:39.18. The medal presentation of medals for the under-23 Women's Quadruple Scull Championship of Australia. The medals will be presented by Mr. Joe Joyce, President of Rowing Victoria. Third place and bronze medalist, North Esk Rowing Club. Represented by Rebecca Bai, Sarah Ashlin, Jessica Malasauskas, and Annalise Mackey. And the crew is coached by Trevor Barrett. Second place and silver medalist, Sydney Rowing Club, West Australian Rowing Club, New South Wales Institute, WACE Composite. From Sydney, Romola Davenport. Western Australian Rowing Club, Georgia Patton. Sydney, Crystal Piper. And Sydney, Harriet Hudson. Coaches Lachlan Carter and Donovan Seck. Gold medalist and Australian champions for 2019, University of Queensland, canned Tamar Composite, Queensland Academy of Sport. Alexandra Wrigley of Tamar, Lily Alton, University of Queensland Boat Club, Taylor McCarthy Smith of canned, Ria Thompson, University of Queensland Boat Club, and the crew coached by Ben Southwell and Brendan Long. Ladies and gentlemen, please congratulate the 2019 Australian champions and medalists. Schoolboy single scull semi-final number 1 underway. Lane 1, Sydney Secondary College. Lane 2, Marist College ACT. Lane 3, Brisbane Grammar School. Lane 4, Anglican Church Grammar School. Lane 5, Newington. Lane 6, Friends. Lane 7, SEDA. I'm not sure. It's obviously a South Australian crew coached by Daniel Ralph. And in Lane 8, Sandringham College.
Thank you, Ray. So Lucas Wigston leading at the moment. He's from Friends and he's coached by Mark Stott with about a second and a half. Further back to Alexander Wood, Cormac Hayes in third, Christian Place in fourth. And then Stelianu, Miller, Waitman and Williams. Nice coloured boat there, isn't it?
It's a very distinctively green boat and it has got a very big lead over the rest of the field. Coached by Mark Stott, Lucas Wigston, and probably a member of Tas Uni Boat Club as well as rowing for his school here, the Friends School from Hobart.
And he's putting himself in a great position to go through and really medal in this final, which will be tomorrow morning. Lucas Wigston, 6.5 seconds over Alexander Wood. So quite big gaps in this semi-final number 1 of the Schoolboy single scull. Remembering that the top 4 is key and there's not much between 4th and 5th. That's Christian Place from ACGS and Stilianu from Sydney Secondary College. But there's the young man in front, Lucas Wigston from Friends.
Looks a bit like a Somerville houseboat. You know, the green is a very distinctive lime green. Looks like a Wintec boat to me.
And a very safe boat out on the water as well. You wouldn't miss
you
that.
wouldn't run into it, that's for sure.
Alexander Wood from Newington is next to him in the black and white in lane number 5. Just to his right or his stroke side. And then Marist College ACT's Cormac Hayes. He's in lane 2. He's in the blue or the light blue and dark blue over on that right-hand side of the course. And then Christian Place in lane 4. He's in the duel with Stilianu from Sydney Secondary College. You can't quite see him, or you can see him just on the far side. So lane 4 and lane 1, they're the 2 lanes to look out for.
Andrew Clatworthy coaching Christian Place, ACGS, Anglican Church Grammar School, colloquially known as Churchy. And they're very much in a battle with Sydney Secondary College. Namkai Stelianu, who is coached by Brendan Longman, rows for Sydney Rowing Club, I believe.
Well, the question is, how much has he got left in this last 100 metres? Because it's going to come down to that. And Lucas Wigston, he doesn't have to worry about that contest. He's going straight through to the final. Impressive stuff from the Friends rower. Second place will go Newington's way. But here it is. 4th between Stilianu and also Christian Place.
Who's lifted.
Maybe, well, this is going to need a photo. I cannot pick that. We're going to need a photo. And to be honest, normally up here, Ray, you can tell who's got
we have a go. Sometimes we have a go.
I'm not even going to have a go because that was as tight as you could possibly get, I feel. Lucas Wigston, Alexander Wood and Cormac Hayes, they're all through. No worries at all. But 4th and 5th, Namkai Stilianu and Christian Place from Churchy.
Yes, that is close.
Well, it may need a forensic examination, this one.
Yes, it automatically goes to a photo if it's less than 0.2 of a second when the buttons are pressed. So it automatically goes that way. There was one early this morning that the judges called it correctly, and I was right on the line. I had no idea. So well done to our judges this morning, and this one must be very close to go. There we go. Christian Place has finished in 4th place and therefore into the final, and unfortunately Namkai Stelianu will miss out. So it's 1st Friends, 2nd Newington, 3rd Marist College Ashgrove, 4th Churchy, B final for Sydney Secondary College, Sandringham College, Brisbane Grammar School and SEDA. I'll have to get the correct name of that school. Winning time there was 721.84, 721.84 as semi-final 2. We have lane 1, Ben Vickery, lane 2, Clancy Doe, lane 3, Nick Blackman, lane 4, Digby Marshall, lane 5, Samuel Atherton, lane 6, Lachlan Wilmot, lane 7, Harry Jansen, and lane 8, Daniel Webb.
And Lachlan Wilmot looking good, 3:41.02. Nick Blackman in second, 1.5 seconds further back. Harry Jansen in third, and then Ben Vickery. Can I be a bit parochial? Hunter Valley Grammar. Love it when the Hunter boys and girls do well. He's in
You
fourth.
are a very parochial Novocastrian, Benjamin.
Well, not just Newcastle, the Hunter as well.
Okay.
Out to where Hunter
Spreading
Valley
the love.
Exactly. Brisbane boys in 5th, Nudgy in 6th, but it's very tight between Ben Vickery and Clancy Doe. Nudgy's Daniel Webb in 6th, Sam Atherton in 7th, Digby Marshall in 8th place. At the moment, there you can see the boat of the Gippsland Grammar sculler Lachlan Wilmot, the distinctive Gippsland Grammar boat, the dark green.
So we're going to leave this race and go to the presentation of the previous A final. Presentation of medals and the Australian Federation of Old Oarsmen Trophy for the Under-23 Men's Coxed 8 Championship of Australia. The medals and trophy will be presented by Mr. Joe Joyce, President, Rowing Victoria. Can you write down the result of this one? You might actually have to read out because this. Third place and bronze medalist, Mercantile Adelaide Swan River Composite. Eric Lowe of Mercantile. William Ackerman of Mercantile. Miles McQuillan Swan River. Joel Kane Mercantile. Alexander Wolfe Mercantile. Kane Grant of Adelaide Rowing Club. Mitchell Hooper of Mercantile. Benjamin Canham of Mercantile. And the cox is James Rook. And the coach is David Pincus and Nicholas Mitchell. Second place and silver medalist, Sydney University Boat Club, New South Wales Institute of Sport. Marcus Britt. Devlin Walsh. Jordan Duff. Kieran Ryak. Lachlan Miles. Morgan Brooking, Leon Chambers, and Willow Shaughnessy. And the coxswain is Danielle Pettit and coached by Don McLaughlin. Gold medalist and Australian champions for 2019, Melbourne University, University of Technology, Sydney Composite. Max Cooper of Melbourne Uni. Maxwell Fisher, Melbourne Uni. Harrison Miller, Melbourne Uni. Harry Fox, Melbourne Uni. Nick Lavery, UTS. Joe O'Connell, Melbourne Uni. Edward Walmsley of Melbourne Uni. And Rowan Lavery of Melbourne Uni. And the coxswain is Nick Doughty. And the coaches are Michael Poulter and Matthew Ryan. And now Joe Joyce will present the Australian Federation of Old Oarsmen Trophy to Melbourne University Boat Club. Please congratulate the 2019 Australian champions and medalists.
And just before we go to the next race, the previous result, semi-final 2 of the Schoolboys single scull. Nick Blackman going through from Pembroke School. Lachlan Wilmot second. Harry Jansen in third. And Clancy Doe just edging out Ben Vickery of Hunter Valley Grammar. Digby Marshall, Daniel Webb and Sam Atherton will all go through to the B final. Blackman, Wilmot, Jansen and Doe to the A.
And race 400, semi-final 3, the Schoolboys single scull, with the first 4 to progress to the C final is on the course. Lane 1, Christian Brothers Fremantle. Lane 2, Friends School. Lane 3, Townsville Grammar. Lane 4, Kings. Lane 5, the Southport School. Lane 6, Anglican Church Grammar. Lane 7, Cathedral Townsville. There you are, Churchy scratched, Harry Knott. Lane 7, Bradley Graham and of Cathedral Townsville. And lane 8, Churchy Liam Ardrey. And it was Joshua Hobart of the Southport School. The Hobart brothers who rode for Queensland, probably the father of this young man, I would imagine, either Dave or his brother.
Doing it quite well at the moment. A few boat lengths clear. It was 3 seconds at the 1K. Brad Graham in third. Lachlan Roach in second at the moment. He's well, probably going to be a little bit further back when we get our third timing check. 5:47.79 for Josh Hobart from the Southport School. Kings is Lachlan Roach in second. Wow, 8 seconds the gap. Cathedral Townsville's Bradley Graham is a second and a half further back in third. And then Lachlan Donnell Wales from Townsville Grammar. He is in fourth place. Harry Bevan in fifth from Friends. Liam Ardrey in sixth from Churchy. We did have Harry Knott scratching from this race also from Churchy. So just 7 in the race. We'll get through 7th in just a second. But at the moment it's the top 4 going to the C final, the rest to the D final.
Joshua Hobart, I'm not sure. I wasn't at the head of the river. I imagine he is a member of the first 8, but I stand corrected. Duncan Free coaching that first 8, but I see here Adam Harrison, who runs the program at the Southport School, and Sean Carolyn seem to be taking charge of all of the Southport School rowers here at this regatta.
They've had a very good week of it, as we see the last 200 metres or so approaching for Josh Hobart. As Ray just mentioned, from the Southport School. Kings, Lachlan Roach in second, but it was 8 seconds the gap. I don't think it's 8 seconds anymore because he's really lightened the load.
Certainly has.
Josh Hobart, wow. He hasn't slowed the rating a lot, but really reduced the power. So Lachlan Roach from Kings in second. Cathedral Townsville's Bradley Graham in third. And then Lachlan Donnell Wales from Townsville Grammar. He's in lane 3 and he's in fourth at the moment. So the top 4 seems pretty cut and dried with 50 metres left to go. Josh Hobart, he goes through to the C final quite comfortably in 7:47.64 unofficially. Lachlan Roach from Kings in second place.
And it looks as though there's a problem with the Christian Brothers Fremantle sculler, Liam Davis. He's tailed well back, and the umpire's boat's following him closely. So I imagine there may be a problem either with the boat or maybe a medical problem there. As the Friends sculler goes across in 5th, Churchy's Liam Ardrey in 6th, and Christian Brothers Fremantle, Liam Davis. Coached by Tom Gaddy, and I understand Tom's doing a very good job at Fremantle Rowing Club. And he's certainly trying to complete the course and will be 7th when he does. So unofficially, and we need that sculler to finish, Southport School first, Kings second, the Cathedral Townsville third, Townsville Grammar fourth, will all go to the C final. 5th, Friends, 6th, Churchy, 7th. Hopefully will be the Christian Brothers Fremantle sculler. He still has 500 metres to go. 7:47.64. Semi-final 4 underway. Lane 2, St Virgil's, Jared Connolly. Lane 3, Wesley Harvey Rupp. Lane 4, Canterbury, Jared Lord. Lane 5, Blackburn High School, Tim Lang. Lane 6, Footscray City College, Sam Wilson. Lane 7, Ignatius Zachary Judge. That's Ignatius Townsville. And scratch lane 8.
And you can see the 500-metre splits are through. 151.92. Jared Connolly of St Virgil's. He is ahead. And Jared Lord in second. Harvey Rupp third. Tim Lang in fourth. Pretty tight through the first 500 metres. We've had a lot of spread amongst the single scullers in the last couple of races. And you can see the top 4 fairly evenly matched as it stands. Sam Wilson from Footscray City may have a bit of work to do if he is to make it into the C final.
Jared Connolly, St Virgil's, is in Tasmania. And great vision coming from our drone. And we thank BMA and John Meekings for the great work they're doing, bringing you these pictures. As I said, the best part of 48,000 views in the live streaming this week.
And what about that cloud just on the mountain? Misty, mysterious. It's, yeah, look at that.
You are a romantic, Ben.
I wouldn't say that, Ray. As we see, Jared Lord now has the lead, 350.48 from Canterbury, St Virgil's, Jared Connolly. I was going to say that's a Tasmanian scene, isn't it? The mist on the mountain.
It is. That's why the St Virgil's sculler was going so well. But at the moment, it's Canterbury College from the Gold Coast. Jared Lord, coached by Manny Hatzianu, who's taken the lead. I met young Jared at the Grafton head of the Clarence Regatta back in December. A nice young man, and met his mum and dad as well. And Emmanuel Hatzianu doing a good job at Canterbury College, having left Brisbane State High School a couple of years ago to go and teach at Canterbury College.
And very tight, this semi-final number 4. And a reminder that there'll probably be a little bit of a break in races after this one. We've got about 10 minutes until the next race, the under-23 lightweight women's quad scull, followed by the open lightweight men's coxless 4, because we've got a couple of semi-finals of the Schoolboy single scull cancelled.
There'll be an opportunity to go and have a look at the Donoratico boat up at the top of the grandstand there and just see how things were done in 1955. Of course, Donoratico, the company that built that, was the home to Lido Filippi. So Donoratico, the predecessor to what is now Filippi Boats. And sadly, Lido Filippi passed away in the last couple of months or so. But his son, Davide, doing a fantastic job at Filippi Boats in the town of Donoratico in Italy, in Tuscany in Italy.
And you could also check out the King's Cup exhibition that's up there as well.
Absolutely, put together by Rowing Australia and rowing historian Andrew Gearin, a board member of Rowing Australia, a director of Rowing Australia, and Andrew very passionate about it. A lot of time and effort's gone into it, and it's an outstanding display as we honour the centenary of the racing for the inaugural King's Cup at the Henley Peace Regatta in 1919.
So in this one, the Schoolboys single semi-final 4, Jared Lord is ahead 5:48.84 through 1,500 metres. He's 5 seconds ahead of Harvey Rupp. He is from Wesley. Jared Connolly in 4th from St Virgil's, who was leading early, and then Tim Lang in lane 5 from Blackburn High School. So it's the young man from Canterbury on the Gold Coast leading us through towards the grandstand. Sam Wilson has got 3 seconds to make up if he is to find his way into the C final, and Zach Judge is a long way back at the moment in lane 7.
And Emmanuel Hatzianu leading the peloton there, still yelling out to his charge, Jared Lord. Coach is always looking for a bit more.
I was just looking over to the peloton, not quite as big as what it was for the 8 a couple of races ago.
That's right. No, it was a big crowd for that one, and I saw David Pincus, who was one of the coaches. And Pinky would be pleased with getting a bronze medal there because his beloved Richmond were just dreadful on Thursday night. I had to throw that in, Pinky. I'm sorry. Okay, mate.
Cheers. So Jared Lord with 100 metres left to travel. I tell you what, they are really coming for second, third and fourth place. I said that Sam Wilson in lane 6 had a little bit of work to do, and he has done that work. So can he make up the ground to the far side of the course, which is Jared Connolly and also Harvey Rupp from Wesley. Rupp seems to be a little ahead, as does Tim Lang from Blackburn High School. But the man in a little bit of danger is Jared Connolly, who started so strong.
He's just responded now. Do you see him lift the rate there, Ben?
I did. And look at him. He's going to get second here.
He will. He's coming home with a wet sail, Jared Connolly.
There you
Might
go.
have got a bit of encouragement from the far side. I think in lane 5 might have run third. We may have another camera.
And I thought he was going to go in there for a minute. He lost his stroke side oar. That would have been interesting. But there you go. Maybe he was just playing a little bit of ducks and drakes, Jared Connolly. Started strong, eased off, and then all of a sudden he had to go. And he did that quite well.
He did get a wriggle on when it was required. So unofficially there, first lane 4 Canterbury, second lane 2 St Virgil's, lane 5 is third Blackburn High, fourth Wesley, fifth Footscray City, sixth Ignatius College from Townsville. The winning time 7:44.27. And we'll give you a little break from us, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll come back to you with the broadcast of race 404 in about 5 minutes. And a nice shot there of the coastal rowing. And coastal rowing going to be in Hong Kong this year, Ben.
Very picturesque, isn't it? You could just see there in the background. So it's an interesting sport. I'm interested to see how it all goes. So.
Yeah, well, it is. And Greg Smith, who's from Penrith, a boat race official for Rowing Australia, has been rostered on for the World Coastal Rowing Championships in Hong Kong. So a number of Australian umpires getting opportunities at World Championships and World Cups and the like this year. And Greg Smith, fortunate enough to be chosen for the World Championships of Coastal Rowing off Hong Kong.
And I understand racing is over about 4 to 6 Ks. Is that how
it
works?
4 Ks and 6 Ks. And interestingly, we saw the TVC before that of Champion Lakes and the Australian Masters Rowing Championships. The 1,000 metre racing will be on from 22nd to the 25th of May. But then on the 26th of May, there's a race to Fremantle. It's something like 16 or 17 kilometres, and I know that Western Australian Rowing is encouraging people to get there early and enjoy the delights of Western Australia, and particularly the Margaret River, Bunbury area, but also to stay on and go in the 16 or 17k race to Fremantle on the Sunday. Got to start in race 404 of the under-23 lightweight women's quadruple scull final. Lane 3, Sydney University Composite. Lane 4, Adelaide Uni Composite. Lane 5, Mercantile Composite. Lane 6, Fremantle Composite. And Lane 7, ANU Composite.
And the defending champions, Sydney University. So can they defend their title in 2019? We'll wait and see. They are. There's a composite crew of Sydney University in lane number 3. You can't see them on screen at the moment.
Well, hopefully Wallace Russell, who's in the stroke seat of that boat, or was scheduled to be, has made a recovery because she was quite unwell early in the week. And maybe they have scratched. I haven't seen them out there.
Yeah, they're a bit far back, aren't they?
Yeah, I know. There's their bow coming into view now. So up there's Station 7. That's the ANU Composite. Hannah Tippett of Mersey, Annika Reardon of Sandy Bay, Maxine Rennie of the Australian National University Boat Club, I'm sure Nick Hunter loves us to say. Alexandra Moylan of the Australian National University Boat Club, and the crew coached by Nigel Harding, Michael Reardon and David Tippett. And they've got their bow about 2 metres in front of a good race for second between lane 4 and lane 6. Lane 4, Caitlin Douglas of Toowong, Jilly Roberts of ANU, Lucy Theodore of Toowong, Celia Cowan of Adelaide Uni, and lane 6, Fremantle Composite, Jennifer Bolster of Swan River, Georgia Seed, West Australian Rowing Team, Keredwen Ellis of Fremantle, Annabelle Council of Fremantle, and Tom Gaddy, Mark Beer and Joe Tamigi coaching that crew.
And the Sydney Uni crew that won last year did include that lady you just spoke about, Wallace Russell, along with Verena Zilm, Georgina Masters, who was a silver medalist in the single, I remember, and Rosie Beasley from UTS. They were the victors last year.
I spoke to Wallace a couple of days ago, and she was coughing up a storm and told me how much better she was feeling than early in the week. And I said, well, you must have been crook early in the week, that's for sure. As the crew in Station 4 puts a bit of a spurt on now, that Adelaide Uni Toowong ANU Composite crew.
Yeah, decent crew, that one, with Jilly Roberts, Lucy Theodore, Celia Cowan, Caitlin Douglas, some strong performances in the single, and also the smaller boats from them in that Adelaide University Toowong ANU composite crew. So they're just surging through the middle of the course. It was an early lead for ANU composite, combined with Sandy Bay and Mercy, Hannah Tippett, Annika Reardon, Maxine Rennie and Alexandra Moylan, coached by Nigel Harding, Michael Reardon and David Tippett. So it's lane 7 on the far side, lane 4, the Adelaide Uni Toowong ANU composite. So those two well out in front. And the good news is for ACT rowing is there's an ACT representative in each of those boats. So
well, there you go. They're
looking
$1
promising
each way. The Adelaide Uni Composite crew, coached by Leo Karadimitris from Toowong, Jason Lane from the South Australian Sports Institute, and Nick Garrett from the ACT High Performance Program.
A bit of work to do from the defending champions, Sydney University, who are in lane 3. That boat combined with UTS and combined with the New South Wales Institute of Sport, but they're well back. And it's the crew, which includes Toowong Scullers, Caitlin Douglas and Lucy Theodore, Jilly Roberts from ANU and Celia Cowan from Adelaide University. Adelaide University's Celia Cowan in the bow seat, you can see. and Theodore and Douglas in 2 and also Stroke. And then you can see Julie Roberts from ANU in 3 seat.
The leaders have got the beat up there. They're on about 37 strokes to the minute, and it's a bit of a fight between lane 4 and lane 7. That's for sure.
And ANU Composite are going nowhere, are they? It's
they're right there, hanging on. The crew in lane 4 is trying to open that gap up. It may be a canvas now as they go through that line of boys. Thank you to the boys from BMA and John Meekings for the outstanding footage we're getting here. And the peloton there again, encouraging their charges in this particular event.
Crystal clear footage, and the 1500 metre timing point is approaching rapidly, and you can still see the ANU Composite. They're not gaining on the Adelaide Uni Composite, but they are not falling behind either. They're just sitting there. It was half a second at the 1K. We're going to find out what it is now at the 1500. It's only just below 1 second, 0.84 seconds, the gap between first and second, Ray.
Yep, and a really good contest between these two boats. They've moved out over the rest of the field. 3.72's a bit of clear water back to the Fremantle Composite crew in 3rd place as the Toowong crew try to stretch out there. I don't know that they're actually sitting in the order that we're given. Celia Cowan certainly up in the bow seat there. I'd say it's Caitlin Douglas in 2, Julie Roberts in 3, Lucy Theodore in the stroke seat, I would suggest, of that composite crew. Well, lane 7 holding down 2nd place.
Yeah, the last 250 metres approaching. Do they have the drive in this last 250 to pull back the crew out in front, the Adelaide University Composite, who led at the 1500, and they've led at the last couple of timing checks after they started strong. And
Lucy Theodore looking for a 2nd gold medal here. She won the under-23 lightweight single a couple of days ago. And looks to me like that crew's really going on with the job. As I've said, they've had the beat up the whole way down.
Well, the ANU Composite on this near side, they've gone nowhere for the entire race. They are sticking by the Adelaide University Composite, who seem to be holding on to the slender lead at the moment. 38 the stroke rate. They are really going at it. 50 metres to travel. Adelaide University ahead of the ANU Composite. Do they have anything left in the tank? The crew from lane 7. It may not be enough. It's going to Adelaide University, Toowong and ANU. The Australian Championship. ANU Composite takes silver, and bronze goes the way of Fremantle Composite. To the west, Huon Composite in 4th, and 5th place to Mercantile Composite. It was tight, but they just couldn't quite overhaul them.
Unofficially, 1st Adelaide University Toowong ANU, 2nd ANU Sandy Bay Mersey, 3rd Fremantle Western Australian Rowing Club Swan River, 4th Sydney Uni Composite, 5th Mercantile Composite. The winning time 6:52.54, and the margins 1.42 by 4.30. So that's a medal presentation, that one. So race 405, the Open Lightweight Men's Coxless 4 for the Lucerne Cup. Lane 2, Mercantile Banks Composite. Lane 3, Sydney ANU, Sydney University. Lane 4, Toowong, Queensland Academy of Sport. Lane 5, Tasmania University, Adelaide University, Corio Bay. Lane 6, ANU, Canberra Composite. And Lane 7, University of Technology, Sydney. And sadly, when this race is concluded, Ben Homer, who's been here since Wednesday morning and done a fantastic job, will be leaving us. So Ben, thank you very much for your efforts over the last week or so. He actually works for the ABC, ladies and gentlemen. He's actually got to go and call a soccer match, of all things. I was hoping it would continue to rain in Newcastle and the soccer match might have been called off. But
that's blasphemy to me, Ray. You've got to call it football, not soccer.
Football. I'm sorry, Ben. I'm sorry, yes. You know I'm a rugby league head.
I'm a rugby league head as well, but I just call it football. I'm sorry to be pedantic.
Okay.
As you can see, the crowd are loving the humour up here. They're really getting into it.
Enthralled.
So we've got the Lucerne Cup coming up. Now, last year it was Team Indonesia which won this event.
Yeah, they won the lightweight 4 and the lightweight 8 Team Indonesia last year. So that was a great fill-up for the rowing, for the National Championships to have Team Indonesia here. Fortunately not here this year. Team Japan is, and Team Vanuatu.
Now, I'm just wondering, what happens with the trophy? So they would have taken it back to Indonesia, I assume.
No, the trophies don't leave the Rowing Australia office, Ben. You see people receive them down there and then they're
gone.
Hastily retrieved. Well, for instance, the King's Cup's worth more than $250,000. So we don't necessarily want to see it disappearing or the lid of a trophy ending up in the water here at Sydney International Regatta Centre, as there's a start in the open lightweight men's coxless 4 for the Lucerne Cup.
Yeah, so UTS have got out nicely in lane 7, as have Toowong.
Yeah, that's what I had.
Toowong with the upside down number 4. We'll see if it helps them go a little bit quicker. Lane 3 and lane 2, Sydney Composite in 3, Mercantile Composite in 2. But it's the Toowong boys leading. Also combined with the Queensland Academy of Sport, Jack Price, Tom Williamson, Dave Carter and Hamish Parry, coached by Kieran Dwyer and Leo Karadimitris. And lane 7 have the gold medal pair in the open lightweight men's event.
Oh, yeah.
Peter Waldersey and James Waldersey, alongside Michael McRae and Jack Message, coached by Alex Field, David Julie and Hallie Chapman.
Stephen Donnelly, president.
So that's a strong crew in lane 7. They won't be going anywhere. Can they pull back the maybe half a boat length that Toowong have on them as it stands at the moment? Mercantile are up there as well. Jaden Gray, James Crouch, Michael McNamara and Red Matthews.
The Mercantile crew is the Victorian lightweight 4 for the interstate race for the Penrith Cup.
So tune up.
Yes, the Toowong crew is 3/4 of the Queensland crew. The ANU composite crew is the ACT crew, and UTS is 3/4 of the New South Wales crew. And of course, the Lucerne Cup, significant because Australia won the World Championship in 1974. I'm sure John Boltby will tell me it was a FISA Championship in 1974, a gold medal, and that regatta was held in Lucerne, hence the significance of the Lucerne Cup. Former Rowing Australia President Colin Smith, a member of that crew, as was Jeff Rees, who raced yesterday with Peter Anthony.
Yes, in the club men's double, late on in the afternoon.
2 blokes the same age as me out there racing. They're nuts.
What went you out there, Ray?
I wasn't quite as good as those pair for a start.
Okay, so it's 500 metres into this one. The open lightweight men's 4. Toowong in first, Mercantile and Banks in second, UTS third. So that Mercantile and Banks crew, who were saying were a little a little further back at the opening part of the race, they've now just moved up into second. We'll get a better look at that. Look at that. They're very tightly matched with the Toowong
They're on the charge, aren't they, that crew? There's no doubt about that. The Victorian crew is on the charge. The Toowong crew has their bow number upside down.
Yeah, does that help you with speed or something?
I don't know what's going on there, but certainly the Victorian Penrith Cup crew making a bid for victory here and pushed right through in that second 500 metres. Michael McNamara, Merck's VIS, of course, the son of the Honourable Patrick McNamara, former president of Rowing Australia, was here presenting medals earlier in the day, and that crew, McNamara, Crouch, Gray and Red Matthews, coached by Nicholas Mitchell, have opened up about a third, maybe even half a length over Toowong in second place. Now Jack Price, Tom Williamson, David Carter and Hamish Parry, coached by Kieran Dwyer and Leo Karadimitris. And then in third place is the ANU composite. William Clark, Hamish Harding, Thomas Perry and Nathan Kennedy. The ACT Lightweight 4 for the Penrith Cup, coached by Nick Garrett and Mark Kwiatkowski.
And Hamish Harding's won 3 gold medals this week.
Yeah, well, his dad and his mum were very good athletes in their day. Of course, the son of Nigel Harding and Adair Ferguson, Hamish Harding, and it's great to see his mum and dad here at the regatta supporting Hamish. And it's been a long battle for him. He's been rowing here since he was about 14, I reckon, and reaping the rewards this year with a bag full of gold medals.
So it's the Victorian Penrith Cup side leading the or team, I should say, just leading the Toowong. So that's 3/4 of the Queensland team, as you were saying, Ray. And then back in third place as it stands, ANU and Canberra, the ACT high performance crew, and then UTS, who have slipped back to 5th now. So Sydney are now into 4th, and Tasmania University in 6th place. So 1,500 metre splits are rapidly approaching, and it's Mercantile and Banks, the Victorian side, 4:41.54 ahead of Toowong in 2nd, and then ANU and Canberra in the bronze medal position. Sydney Composite have overhauled UTS, and they lead them by almost 3.5 seconds. But can Toowong, can the Queensland crew pull back the Victorians, who have just been slowly but surely increasing their power throughout this race?
And they're looking too strong, the Victorian crew, at this juncture. There's no doubt about that. There's not that many years ago that Victoria dominated the Penrith Cup, and then there were runs from Tasmania, runs from Western Australia, and then up until last year there was a run of about 4 years in a row for Queensland. And a big shout out to Darren Purcell, who coached the first Queensland crew to win the Penrith Cup. Darren not overly well at the moment, and a lot of support for Darren in the rowing community. He's posted this week with an update of his condition and a lot of messages back to Darren, and we wish him all the best in his fight with ill health.
So ANU are really pushing up here. They're pushing up towards the Mercantile crew and also Toowong, but it's the Victorians that just lead going into the last 100 metres. But the push is coming from Toowong and the centre of the course. You really saw the lift there from the Queenslanders. ANU are going at it as well with about 70 metres left. Can the Victorians hold on? It is going to be so very tight. Toowong still in 2nd. ANU, they're coming for 3rd. The Victorians have just got a couple of strokes. Gold to Victoria. Mercantile and Banks combine. Toowong in 2nd, and then ANU and Canberra just edged out. They'll take bronze. Sydney Composite in 4th, and then UTS in 5th place.
So thank you, Ben, for your efforts. We really appreciate it, and good luck, and drive carefully on the way up to Newcastle to broadcast that game of football.
Thank you, Ray. Richard Dorstein's going to come in. A pleasure. It's been great to be part of it again this year. Looking forward to 2020.
Look forward to having you here for the whole week. You have to book in some holidays next year. So unofficially, first Mercs Composite, 2nd Toowong, 3rd ANU Composite, 4th Sydney Composite, 5th UTS. Winning time 6 minutes 16.28 as we do a commentary and announcer change.
The presentation of medals for the Under-23 Lightweight Women's Quadruple Scull Championship of Australia. The medals will be presented by Stephen Donnelly, President, Rowing New South Wales.
No worries. Thanks,
In 3rd place, and bronze medalists from the Swan River Rowing Club, Jennifer Bolster. From the West Australian Rowing Club, Georgia Seed. From the University of Western Australia Boat Club, Alexandra Utley. From the Fremantle Rowing Club, Annabelle Council. Crew is coached by Tom Gatty, Mark Beer and Joe Tamiji. In second place and silver medalists, from the Mersey Rowing Club, Hannah Tippett. The Sandy Bay Rowing Club, Annika Reardon. The Australian National University, Maxine Rennie. And from the Australian National University, Alexandra Moylan. Crew is coached by Nigel Harding, Michael Reardon and David Tippett. Gold medalists and Australian champions for 2019. From the Toowong Rowing Club, Caitlin Douglas. From the Australian National University, Jilly Roberts. From the Toowong Rowing Club, Lucy Theodore. And from Adelaide University, Celia Cowan. Crew is coached by Leo Karadimitris, Jason Lane and Nick Garrett. Please congratulate the 2019 Australian champions and medalists. And after that close race for the Lucerne Cup, which we'll see presented shortly, we move back to schools racing for the next few events, the semi-finals of the Schoolgirls and Schoolboys Coxed 4, the first of which, semi-final 1, is on the course right now with the top 4 to move through to the A final tomorrow. Lane 1 is Loretto Kirribilli. Lane 2, Hunter Valley Grammar. Lane 3, another crew from Loretto Kirribilli. Lane 4 is Wesley College from Melbourne. Lane 5 and 6, both Canberra Girls Grammar School. Lane 7, Ballarat Grammar. And lane 8 is the crew from Roseville. And here's Owen Nix to call the next race.
Thanks, Richard. Canberra Girls Grammar School, second in the under-19 4 earlier in the week. So a silver medal there behind Queenwood. And they were one of the heat winners in this Schoolgirl 4 event. And as they start to make their way through to the 1,250 metre mark, it was the crew from Canberra Girls Grammar leading from Loretto Kirribilli. 2 lanes across in lane number 3 and then followed by Canberra Girls Grammar in lane number 6. Right with them was one of the other heat winners, Wesley College, who have started to move their way up from 6th through to 4th. Ballarat Grammar are in 5th, Roseville 6th. And the second Loretto Kirribilli crews on the far side of the course in 7th, and Hunter Valley Grammar School also over towards the far side of the course in 8th position. But on screen, Canberra Girls Grammar School, coached by Caroline Pipers. So this is their 8 that has been split into 2 Cox 4s. On screen we have Zara Collison in the bow seat and Grace Turner in the 2 seat there. And also their coxswain, which is Izzy Shaw. So Canberra Girls Grammar School looking very controlled. Look like they're a fair bit of time as they roll up the slide and connect with it with that next stroke. And a good race going on between Wesley and Loretto Kirribilli to the left of the screen, or in lanes 4 and 3 if you're here at the venue, as we come up to the bridge just prior to the 1,500 metre mark. And it's Canberra Girls Grammar School with clear water. So progression here, top 4 to go through to the A final tomorrow, and the B final will be for the remaining crews, also raced tomorrow. But Canberra Girls Grammar School, they are looking very dominant, and as you would expect, they will see if they can do one better than their performance in the under-19 4 earlier on this week. So Wesley having moved up into 2nd spot, so they've really just started to work their way through this field. One of the heat winners, Wesley College, into 2nd spot. Loretto Kirribilli are in 3rd, and Canberra Girls Grammar School, great effort there with 2 crews in the top 4 at the present moment. But Ballarat Grammar just 0.25 back out of lane number 7. So lanes 6 and 7 are really fighting it out for that all-important 4th spot and a chance to progress. Roseville are in 6th, and then they're followed by the 2 crews over towards the far side of the course with Loretto Kirribilli and Hunter Valley Grammar School.
That Ballarat Grammar crew, Owen, were the winners of the head of the Schoolgirls in Geelong a couple of weeks ago, so I would watch out for them over the closing strokes. It was an all Ballarat affair in that race. Ballarat Grammar from Loretto Ballarat and Ballarat Clarendon, who we'll see in the next heat as well.
And they have started to put their bow ahead of the second of the Canberra Girls Grammar School crews. So a very spirited second half of the race from Ballarat Grammar in this one. And starting to put a little bit of pressure on Wesley and Loretto Kirribilli as well. So a really good race going on here for the top four. And it looks like Canberra Girls Grammar's second crew and Loretto Kirribilli have a fair bit of work to do if they're going to fight it out to see which one goes through to the A final, which one goes through to the B final. So Canberra Girls Grammar School clear. They're looking very comfortable. Their lead has been eroded a little bit in the concluding stages, but that's all going to be pretty academic. So, very good performance by Caroline Piper's Canberra Girls Grammar School crew. Claim the win, Wesley second, Loretto Kirribilli third, and Ballarat Grammar strong second half of the race to claim that last qualification spot for the A final. Canberra Girls Grammar's number 2 crew will go through to final B, along with Roseville College in 6th. Loretto Kirribilli on the far side in 7th and Hunter Valley Grammar in 8th.
So the top four there moving through from the first semi of the Schoolgirls coxed for Canberra Girls Grammar Lane 5. The Harriet Wallace stroked crew, the winners ahead of Wesley College in second place. Third was Loretto Kirribilli and fourth the crew from Ballarat Grammar. They'll move through to the A final, the rest to the B final. Winning time there for Canberra Girls Grammar School is unofficially 7:32.07. The presentation of medals for the Open Lightweight Men's Coxless 4 Championship of Australia. The medals were presented by Stephen Donnelly, President, Rowing New South Wales. In third place and bronze medalists from the Australian National University, William Clark. Also from the ANU, Hamish Harding. From the Canberra Rowing Club, Thomas Perry. And again from the Australian National University, Nathan Kennedy. Crew is coached by Nick Garrett and Mark Kwiatkowski. Second place and silver medalists representing the Toowong Rowing Club and the Queensland Academy of Sport, Jack Price, Tom Williamson, David Carter and Hamish Parry. Crew was coached by Kieran Dwyer and Leo Karademetris. The gold medalists and Australian champions for 2019. From Mercantile, Michael McNamara. From Banks, James Crouch. From Mercantile, Jaden Gray. And from Mercantile, Red Matthews. Crew was coached by Nicholas Mitchell. The Lucerne Cup will now be presented by Stephen Donnelly. Please congratulate the 2019 Australian champions and medalists. Back out in the Corso in the second semi of the Schoolgirls Cox 4 approaching its conclusion. Lauriston Girls in 1, Loretto Ballarat in 2, PLC Sydney Lane 3, Queenwood in 4, Ballarat Clarendon in 5, Ballarat High in 6, St Catherine Sydney Lane 7, and Canberra Girls Grammar School in Lane 8.
Yeah, so Ballarat High really blasted out in the early stages of this one, and it's Queenwood that moved to the front with a strong middle 1,000. They lead through the 1,500 metre mark between a good race between the two Ballarat schools. Ballarat High just ahead of Ballarat and Clarendon for the 1.92 seconds back, and the Loreto Ballarat in 4th position. And that's the crew over towards the far side of the course. And then we have St Catherine's, New South Wales, second from this side of the course in 5th. Canberra Girls Grammar in 6th. Lauriston Girls in 7th. And PLC Sydney, who are third from the far side of the course, in 8th position. So Queenwood won the under-19 Cox 4 earlier in the week. They're also part of the Queenwood School 8 that won at the New South Wales Schoolgirl Head of the River just by less than a third of a second over a fast-finishing Pymble Ladies College. The Queenwood crew, Lauren Smits, Alexandra Nell, Ingrid Holther and Olivia O'Donnell, Kira Osterdale in the bow of that boat. And they're coached by Adam de Koning, a former Mossman Junior, which is where the Queenwood program is based at Pearl Bay. And Kieran Glynn, the coach over there, who's done a tremendous job, former Irish coxswain over in Ireland with a very successful career over there as a coxswain, and he's been over here quite a number of years and received quite a few awards for their work with a very, very strong Queenwood program. So they're controlling this race, and very strong last 500 coming from St Catherine's on this side as they challenge Loreto Ballarat for that all-important 4th spot and a chance to progress through. So two Ballarat schools looking relatively safe here for qualification, an event in which they are so strong. And with Ballarat and Clarendon just pushing back on the Ballarat High School crew as they come into the last 60 metres. But at the head of the field, it is Queenwood School for Girls that are going to control this race with a strong middle 1,000, and they go on to record a semi-final win ahead of Ballarat Clarendon in second. Third goes to Ballarat High, and Loreto Ballarat hold off St Catherine's for that all-important 4th spot. So 3 Ballarat crews progressing from this semi-final into the A final. St Catherine's will go through to the B final, placing 5th. Canberra Girls Grammar will have 2 crews in the B final as a result of a 6th place, and they're followed by Lauriston Girls in 7th and PLC Sydney in 8th.
Yes, a good result there for the Ballarat crews, but Queenwood were the race winners, getting home by 1.53 seconds. The Ballarat Clarendon second, Ballarat High third, and Loreto Ballarat in 4th place. Those 4 crews will move through to the A final. The Schoolgirls Cox 4 ahead of St Catherine's Sydney, Canberra Girls Grammar, Lauriston Girls and PLC Sydney. The unofficial winning time there for Queenwood, 7:37.60. Now 2 semi-finals of the Schoolboys, Coxed 4. Again, several crews from Ballarat in this race once again. But lane 1 is St Peter's College from Adelaide. Lane 2, Ballarat Clarendon. Lane 3, Brighton Grammar. Lane 4, Scotch College from Melbourne. Lane 5, Damascus College from Ballarat. Lane 6, St Ignatius. Lane 7, again is Scotch College, Melbourne. And Lane 8, St Patrick's College, also from Ballarat.
That was the crew 4 for the far side. Scotch that led through the halfway mark in 3:22.31 ahead of Damascus from Ballarat. We were alongside of them, just 0.62 back, and then a further 0.35 to St Patrick's College. St Ignatius are in 4th. That's St Ignatius College Riverview in Sydney, then followed by Scotch College in lane number 7, Ballarat and Clarendon, St Peter's, and then Brighton Grammar in lane number 3, back in 8th position. Once again, top 4 through to the A final, and the rest going through to final B. As we see on screen, St Ignatius College that are doing quite well there. Lachlan Dowse, Thomas Benson, Henry Ryan, Joseph Bradshaw, Douglas McGrath, the coxswain, and coached by Dan Noonan, legendary Dan Noonan, and Michael Doyle, who was their coach when they won the Schoolboy 8 at the GPS Head of the River here for the first time in 40-odd years last year. And these guys spent a lot of time during the year in single sculling events and in training, or single sculling boats in training, and then move into the sweep boats in the latter stages of the season. So St Ignatius College leading through the 1,500 metre mark from Scotch and Damascus in 3rd, and Scotch with their second boat in lane number 7. You can see second to the right of the screen there in 4th position, and only about a third of a boat length up on the crew from St Patrick's College, who are alongside of them in lane number 8. So it looks like where the qualification will be, going to be a fair bit of work required from the 3 crews on the far side, Ballarat, Clarendon, Brighton Grammar and also St Peter's College, if they're going to grab a top 4 spot and go through to the A final. It looks like a B final might await them tomorrow.
The 2 Scotch College crews here look to be the 2 halves of the Scotch 8 that will race in the Schoolboys 8 in a couple of hours' time as well. So a big program here for the Melbourne Head of the River winners from last weekend.
Yeah, they brought up a very big contingent here and very, very strong, as we've come to expect.
It's great that the scheduling's allowed them to race fully this week too. Last year, of course, the Melbourne Head of the River was on today, on the second last day of the regatta, which made it much harder for the schools to compete here.
Yeah, so they had to go through that whole logistical exercise of racing in a couple of different states over the course of a few days, so up and back. And so St Ignatius College we have on screen, St Ignatius College Riverview. In lane number 6, that lead from Scotch, and then we have Damascus College from Ballarat, the co-educational Catholic school in Ballarat, that are there in 3rd spot, and Scotch with their 2nd boat of Permazel Day, McDonald and Lempriere, just holding off St Patrick's College in Victoria, but a good win to St Ignatius College, 2nd to Scotch, 3rd to Damascus, and Scotch will get a 4th crew or a 2nd boat into the A final as a result of finishing 4th. St Patrick's College a 5th, 6th to St Peter's from Adelaide, ahead of Ballarat and Clarendon in 7th and Brighton Grammar in 8th place.
Unofficial results there in semi-final 1 of the Schoolboys Cox Force. St Ignatius certainly first across the line. 2nd place was Scotch College Melbourne on lane 4. 3rd Damascus from Ballarat. 4th Scotch College Melbourne lane 7. They're the 4 crews that will move through to the A final. They were followed by St Patrick's Ballarat, St Peter's Adelaide, Ballarat Clarendon and also Brighton Grammar in 8th place. The winning time there for St Ignatius is 6:49.91. And they won it by 1.84 seconds. And the second semi-final, well advanced, already through 500 metres. A field of 8 here once again. Another crew from Scotch College Melbourne in lane 1, Canberra Grammar in lane 2, Ballarat Grammar lane 3, Melbourne Grammar in lane 4, Scotch College Melbourne again in lane 5, St Augustine's from Sydney in lane 6, Wesley College Melbourne in lane 7 and Damascus College Ballarat in 8.
So about 900 metres gone. It was Ballarat Grammar that led through the first 500 metres from Scotch and then St Augustine's. But we can see now the number 5 of Scotch College Victoria just in front of Ballarat Grammar and St Augustine's in 3rd spot. And then we just started to move through the 1,000 metre mark. And it is Scotch narrowly, just 0.40 over Ballarat Grammar. St Augustine's in 3rd, Wesley in 4th, Melbourne Grammar in 5th, Canberra Grammar in 6th position, and then the crews on the flanks of the field, Scotch College over in lane number 1 and Damascus College from Ballarat on this side of the course have dropped a fair bit back out of contention in this one. So the Scotch crew, Jack Cameron, Max Lempriere, Leo Price, Maxwell Bloom, Leo Miller. 80% of these guys were silver medalists in the men's under 19 8 earlier on in the program, and they're here trying to qualify this boat for the A final and see if Scotch can get a 3rd crew into the final of the Schoolboy Coxed 4. St Augustine's now moving up into 2nd position. Oscar Davis, Mungo Murphy, Patrick Burke, Jeremy Gategood and Tom Faflin, the coxswain, and Judith Ungermark, Barney Potts and Alex Van Helden, the coaches there. Relatively new program that at St Augustine's, a school in Brookvale in the northern beaches of Sydney. They row out of Mossman Rowing Club, where Judith Ungermark also coaches. Judith, a Olympic gold medalist and Olympic bronze medalist in the women's 8. And her husband, Matt Ungermark, also assisting with that very successful program that's only been running a short period of time. So Scotch leading St Augustine's, and crew from Ballarat Grammar that went out really hard in the early stages of this one are there in 3rd spot and still looking as though they're in the mix there for a qualification spot. And it's been a good 3rd 500 metres from the Melbourne Grammar School crew They're pushed up into 4th spot ahead of Canberra Grammar, and Wesley have dropped back into 6th position. So they're coming under a fair bit of fire here. The Wesley crew second from the grandstand side of the course, or the bottom of the screen if you're watching via the live stream. As we have Scots out in the race lead. Very tall, strong young men in that starboard rig boat that lead coming into the last 250 metres from St Augustine's in the green colours, and Ballarat Grammar in 3rd position. And really the race would seem on for 4th, with Melbourne Grammar School in the centre of the course, and also the Canberra Grammar boat, and crew from Wesley College fighting it out for that all-important 4th spot and a chance to progress. At the head of the field, St Augustine's closing on the crew from Scotch College. They started to lift their rating as they try and just sort of shade past them in the closing stage, up to 38 strokes a minute. Scotch, seeing if they can match it with them. They've started to increase their rating as well. They've gone up to 37 strokes a minute. And in 3rd spot, we have Ballarat Grammar, and Canberra Grammar finishing very strongly over on the far side of the course in lane number 2, trying to see if they can row through Melbourne Grammar. In the shades of the finish, though, a good response from Scotch. They take out the semi-final. St Augustine's second, 3rd to Ballarat Grammar, and Canberra Grammar finished off very strongly indeed. They place 4th, go through to the A-final at the expense of Melbourne Grammar, who are 5th. Wesley plays 6th. And they'll be followed home by Damascus in 7th, and the second of the Scotch crews in 8th place.
So unofficial results there in race 409. It has gone to Scotch College Melbourne at this stage in 1st place. St Augustine's of Sydney in 2nd. Ballarat Grammar 3rd. And Canberra Grammar in 4th place. They're the 4 crews to move through to the A final of the Schoolboys Cox 4. And 5th place Melbourne Grammar, 6th Wesley College, 7th Damascus, and 8th Scotch College Melbourne on the far side. Those margins adjusting now. It was close as we thought on the finish, just 0.04 of a second, but exactly as Owen said, Scotch College in lane 5 across first from St Augustine's in 6, 6:48.09 the winning time there unofficially for Scotch College, and a narrow win by 0.04 of a second. And we are racing in the next of our finals now, back with some 8s on the course. This is the final of the under-23 women's coxed 8, a field of 6. Lane 2, a composite crew, Sydney University, University of Queensland and the University of Technology, Sydney. Lane 3 is an entry from the Mercantile Club in Melbourne. Lane 4, a West Australian composite crew, Swan River, West Australian and University of Western Australia rowing clubs. A Sydney composite crew in lane 5 of Sydney University of Western Australia, the West Australian Rowing Club, Griffith Uni, and Griffith University Surface Paradise Club. A mouthful there in lane 5. Lane 6 is a crew from Melbourne University and the Victorian Institute of Sport. And lane 7, a Banks and Sydney University composite crew.
And it is the crew in lane number 5 that's moved out to 3.65 second advantage. That's the Sydney composite. And that's about a boat length in this class of boat. And they lead from Sydney University composite over in lane number 2. You can see with UTS to the right of the screen. And then we have a Swan River composite in 3rd spot, Mercantile in 4th, Melbourne University, the Victorian Institute of Sport in 5th position, and Banks Sydney University on this side of the course in 6th position. So a very, very well credentialed 8 that leads this field as they start to make their way up towards through the 750 metre mark. This Sydney Rowing Club, Uni WA, West Australian Rowing Club and Griffith University Surface Paradise crew. Lauren Graham, who is in that boat along with Isabel Farrer and Hannah Cow up the cox, and they were part of the silver medal winning Junior 4. Jess Scott, Lukey Smith, Australian Junior Representatives. Leah Franklin has had a very, very good week in the smaller boats. And there with Harriet Hudson, who's represented Australia in multiple junior and underage teams. And already an under-23 medalist, and Georgia Patton, who was part of the under-23 pair last year with her pair partner Bronwyn Cox. So you can see why that crew has got a commanding lead as they come through the 1,000-metre mark, 3:10.82 the time through that intermediate timing point, and a great race going on for the minor placings, with Mercantile there in second position, just 0.40 ahead of Swan River Composite, and Banks Sydney University improving on this side of the course as they move up into fourth position. Melbourne University in fifth, and the Sydney University Composite still in the mix over on the far side of the course in a sixth position. But on screen, the boat stroke by Isabel Farrer, with Bronwyn Cox in the 7th seat and Georgia Patton in the 6th seat, that lead this race convincingly. They're in the Sydney Rowing Club boat, which they only recently purchased. They had a dinner where they had about 75 people paying $1,000 a head to raise the money for that boat, and it's named after Keith Jamieson, who's been president there since 1997. You can see Lauren Graham in the bow seat of that boat with the two Griffith University Service Paradise athletes, Jess Scott, Lukey Smith in 2-3 seats. Harriet Hudson there with the trademark pink sunglasses in the 4 seat. Leah Franklin in 5. Georgia Patton in 6. Bronwyn Cox in 7. Isabel Farrer in the stroke seat, and Hannah Cowup in the coxswain seat, urging them on. They're certainly not just keen to get out there and sit on the rest of the field. They're going to work this all the way through. Seen some quality in these under 23 eights. Melbourne University Boat Club taking out the men's race, sub 5:40 for Michael Poulter's crew. And this crew coming through the 1,500 metre mark in the women's equivalent in 4 minutes 50.06 ahead of this great race unfolding. Only the Sydney University UQ and UTS crew over on the far side of the course that appear to be out of contention here for a minor medal, as Mercantile are in second spot. Swan River Composite in third. Further a second back to Melbourne University, and then Banks Sydney on this side of the course. So 4 crews fighting it out for silver and bronze, it would seem, as we come up to the 1,650 metre mark for this leading boat. Yes, Sydney Composite. They continue to power ahead. Mercantile, second from the far side of the course, having a great tussle with the crew alongside of them. It's the Swan River Composite of Walsh, Hill, Hutton, McLaren, Netherway, Park, Jones and Wilson, with Clayton Armstrong in the coxswain seat and coached by Mark Beer. And likewise Melbourne University and Banks, who are having a great tussle on this side of the course. So still very, very little separating those places second through to fifth, probably only about a third of a length separating those 4 crews, but no one has been able to get near this Sydney Composite with the University of Western Australia, West Australian Rowing Club and Griffith University Service Paradise, and also Swan River Rowing Club, as they will take out the under-23 women's coxed 8 with a very, very strong performance. In the race for the silver medal, it is the Swan River Composite with West Australian Rowing Club and UWA just heading off Mercantile. There's only about a metre in it, and they will hold on. Mercantile just hold on for bronze ahead of gallant Melbourne University Boat Club crew, who plays 4th, and Banks Sydney University just fading a little bit to place 5th. And in 6th place will be Sydney University, UQ and UTS to conclude a very, very fine under-23 women's 8 event.
Yeah, great race for the minor placings there indeed, Owen, but a dominant win to the Sydney Composite combination on lane 5. Sydney, University of Western Australia, West Australian Rowing Club, Griffith University Surface Paradise in there as well, our race winners. Second place was the Swan River Composite crew on lane number 4. Mercantile were third in lane 3, just ahead of Melbourne University in lane 6. 5th place, the Banks and Sydney Uni crew, and 6th place was the Sydney Uni Composite Racing in lane 2. So it's 6:28.79 there, the unofficial winning time to the Sydney Composite crew, and a big, big winning margin of 11.48 seconds. And we can go back down to the start line at the 2,000 metre mark. Still a couple of minutes away from a start in this race, the final of the under-23 men's quad. The field up there on screen. Lane 2, a composite crew from 3 clubs in Western Australia. Patrick Borer of Swan River, David Latham of Fremantle, Jonathan Ashby of the West Australian Rowing Club, and Oscar Winter, also of the West Australian Rowing Club. Lane 3 is the University of Technology Sydney, Benjamin Wisdom, Oscar Williams, Weston Gordon and Angus Gall. Lane 4, the Sydney Rowing Club, Christopher McCarthy, Thomas Galloway, Max Brenner and Torin Olsen. Beside them in lane 5, Sydney University, Philip Kaufman, Richard Ledger, Nick Lesyuk and Harrison Roaston. A composite crew in lane 6, Alex Gruskowiak from Capital Lakes, Harry Glacken of Capital Lakes, Jackson Free from Griffith University Surfers Paradise, and Cormac Kennedy Leverett, also of the Griffith University Surfers Paradise Club. And then Banks in lane 7, Lachlan Ziggler, Bowen Hafey, Kane Bullock, James Meads. The crew there closest to the camera in the distinctive colours of the Banks Rowing Club from Melbourne. The 6 crews are all at the start pontoon, and we should be underway quite shortly in the final of the under-23 men's quad scull.
And the crew to watch, the crew out of lane number 6, Alex Gruskowiak, Harry Glacken, Jackson Free and Cormac Kennedy Leverett. Cormac Kennedy Leverett and Harry Glacken taking out the double. And it was Cormac that won the single. Harry Glacken that was second in the single, and Jackson Free that grabbed the bronze medal in that one. So that's the lineup there of that boat that is favoured on paper, but of course we'll see what happens on water for this under-23 men's quadruple scull.
So that's the lane 6 combination, Griffith Uni Capital Lakes beside the Banks Club there in the pink colours, and they are on their way now in the final. The Capital Lakes Composite and the QAS are the defending champions, so it may well be the same combination as last year, and they're off to a good start in lane 6 there, Owen.
Yes, and also a very, very good start blasting out on lane number 2. Patrick Borer, David Latham, Jonathan Ashby and Oscar Winter over on the far side of the course, who have been able to get the early lead in the early strokes, but now just starting to get a bit of a challenge now. Alex Gruskowiak on screen. He's at a relatively quiet season by his standards. He's in the bow seat with the white colours on his back and green on his chest as they move into the race lead. Big Harry Glacken in the 2 seat. Cormac Kennedy Leverett with the beard in the 3 seat. And Jackson Free stroking that boat. And they have just started to eke out a small advantage over the Fremantle, Swan River and West Australian Rowing Club crew over on the far side of the course. Sydney Rowing Club in 3rd spot with the lightweight Christopher McCarthy, Tom Galloway, Max Brenner and Torin Olsen. And they're in 3rd position, followed by UTS and having a very good tussle with the Banks crew.
3/4 of the same crew that won last year. Actually, Nathan Kennedy, who was a substitute out for Alex Gruskowiak, it looks like into this combination rode last year in the crew that won this race for Capital Lakes and Griffith University Surfers Paradise. They only won it by 2 seconds last year, but we'll see if that margin, or we'll see if they do it again first and then what the margin may be. But they're in front already by 1.7 seconds after 500 metres.
Yeah, so they're certainly going about the task. It's Cormac Kennedy Leverett trying to take out the single, double and the quad in the under-23 category, and which is a absolutely stellar performance if he does manage to do that. He's an incredible athlete and has been since he started his rowing up at Tweed Heads and Coolangatta Rowing Club quite a number of years ago under coach Gary Anand. And he's now at Griffith University Surfers Paradise under coach Marcus Free. So they continue to lead from the West Australian Rowing Club, Fremantle, Swan River Composite, Sydney Rowing Club in 3rd. And then it's UTS next, followed by Banks in 5th position and Sydney University in 6th position. Sydney University all coming through their Learn to Row program. You can see at the bottom of the screen there, adjacent to the umpire's boat. And Jack Hanley looking after those guys when they started rowing. Phil Kaufman, Richard Ledger, Nick Lesyuk and Harry Roaston. And Chris Holliday and Don McLaughlin also listed as coaches of that Sydney University Boat Club crew. But on screen and out to a little bit of clear water Alex Greskoviak, Harry Glacken, Cormac Kennedy-Leverett and Jackson Free as they start to make their way through the 1,000-metre mark. So just over 3:01 for the Griffith University Service Paradise Composite ahead of the West Australian Rowing Club Composite and Sydney Rowing Club in third position. Also just over a length further back, UTS fourth, Banks in fifth, and the biggest gap then to the Sydney University Boat Club crew in sixth position.
It was the West Australian Rowing Club composite crew that finished second last year as well to the Capital Lakes and Griffith Uni combination, but almost a completely different crew. Oscar Winter in the stroke seat, the only one from that same crew, joined this time around by Patrick Borer of Swan River, David Latham of Fremantle and Jonathan Ashby of the West Australian Rowing Club.
Yes, they're putting in a fine performance over there in absolutely incredible conditions here at the Sydney International Regatta Centre, as they continue to extend their advantage over Sydney Rowing Club, who are in third, and trying to get an overlap with Sydney is the UTS combination. Ben Wisdom, Oscar Williams, Weston Gordon and Angus Gall. They're coached by Alex Field, David Geely and Hallie Chapman. Hallie Chapman, a world junior champion in the single scull under the name Hallie Hames. Former St George junior. Who's gone across to UTS, of course. Tim McLaren rode with St George and has had a very, very successful time at UTS. He's over in the States at the moment and be back at UTS, I understand, in a few weeks' time. So the head of the field, though, it is Griffith University Service Paradise with the QAS and the ACT High Performance Program that continue to dominate this event. Over 5 seconds to the good of the crew on the far side of the course. Sydney are in third and only have less than 2.5 seconds back to UTS in fourth place. Banks are in fifth and Sydney University Boat Club in sixth position. So Cormac Kennedy-Leverett well placed to take out single, double and quad in the under-23 category. You can see him just to the left of the screen there with the beard and the sunglasses on. And big Harry Glacken, who's only been rowing for about 16 or 18 months, is in the two-seat there. And Nick Garrett has done a tremendous job with him. And incredible how much this guy has improved in just the last 2 months, in fact, as well. So very, very talented row there in the two-seat of that leading boat. And Alice Greskoviak in the bow seat for Capital Lakes. Doing a very, very good job there as they continue to go about the task of completing this last 100 metres to take out this under-23 Men's Quadruple Scull Championship of Australia. And it will be a fine win from all but the first 50 metres in which they've took to get moving, and once they got moving, they've moved ahead and creeped further away. So Griffith University Service Paradise and Capital Lakes take out the under-23 men's quad scull ahead of West Australian Rowing Club. Fremantle, Swan River, who get the silver medal. Sydney Rowing Club managed to move back ahead or further ahead of UTS in that last 500 to claim bronze. UTS fourth, Banks fifth, and sixth will be Sydney University.
I wish my racing tips were as good as they were in this race. We said at the start it was likely to be Griffith Uni, Surface Paradise and Capital Lakes, and they've won it convincingly. So lane 6 there, the first crew across the line. Second place, the West Australian Fremantle and Swan River Rowing Clubs on the far side of the course. Third went to the Sydney Rowing Club. Fourth, the University of Technology Sydney. Fifth, Banks. And sixth, the Sydney University Boat Club. The winning time there unofficially 7:06.68 for the Griffith Uni and Capital Lakes composite crew, and they won it by 7.20 seconds as they defend their national title. Presentation of medals for the under-23 Women's Coxed 8 Championship of Australia. The medals will be presented by Sarah Cook, dual Olympian and counsellor, Rowing New South Wales. third place. And bronze medalists from the Mercantile Rowing Club and the Victorian Institute of Sport. Mimi Ballum, Ruby Gianlucas, Kirsty Green, Sky Frobel, Daisy Butterworth, Emmy Frederico, Mimi Tuddenham, Georgie Gleason, Lily Arnoul. Crew was coached by Bridget Carlisle. In second place and silver medalists, composite crew from Swan River, Jessica Walsh. Also from Swan River, Charlotte Hill. And from Swan River, Lauren Hutton. The West Australian Rowing Club, Alex McLaren. From the University of Western Australia Boat Club, Claire Netherway. And also from the University of Western Australia, Jamie Park. From the West Australian Rowing Club, Olivia Jones. And from Swan River, Emma Wilson. Crew was coxed by Clayton Armstrong and coached by Mark Beer. The gold medalists and Australian champions for 2019. From the Swan River Rowing Club, Lauren Graham. Griffith University, Lukey Smith. From Swan River, Leah Franklin. From the Sydney Rowing Club, Harriet Hudson. From Griffith University, Jess Scott. The West Australian Rowing Club, Georgia Patton. The University of Western Australia, Bronwyn Cox. And from the Sydney Rowing Club, Isabel Farrer. Crew was coxed by Hannah Cowap and coached by Lachlan Carter, Lincoln Handley and Mark Beer. Please congratulate the 2019 Australian champions and medalists. The PR3 Mixed Cox 4 is our next final, and the race already underway. A field of 6 in this race. Lane 2, a composite crew, Drummoyne, University of Queensland, Leichhardt and Balmain. Lane 3, a composite crew as well, Torrens, Adelaide University, West Australian and Capital Lakes clubs. Lane 4, Sydney University, Sydney, Barwon, Powerhouse and the ANU. Lane 5, an ANU Balmain composite crew. Lane 6 is Team Hong Kong. And lane 7, a composite crew from the Balmain and Nestles Rowing Club.
And the field being led by the Sydney University composite crew, which is the Sydney University, Sydney, Barwon, Powerhouse, ANU composite. And they led through the first 500 metres 6.79 seconds ahead of the Adelaide University composite. Drummoyne composite in third place, ANU Balmain in fourth, Balmain Nestles in fifth, and Team Hong Kong in sixth position. So the leading boat on screen, which has Alexandra Viney in the bow seat, in the 2 seat Alex Villamin, and in the 3 seat Ben Gibson and James Talbot in the stroke seat, and Renee Domashens in the coxswain seat. They're coached by Lizzie Chapman, Jeffrey Boucher and Hannah Every Hall. 80% of that crew was part of the Australian PR3 Mixed Cox 4 that placed 5th at the World Championships last year. The only change is Nikki Ayres is in the crew in lane number 3 that's currently in 2nd place. And coming into that boat is Alexandra Viney from the Barwon Club. So great to see tremendous depth in Australian para rowing as the leading boat starts to make its way up to the halfway mark. So James Talbot in the stroke seat, also a medalist in the PR3 men's pair, silver medalist in that event from the World Championships last year. He's in the stroke seat in the colours of Sydney University Boat Club.
And collectively, this crew that's leading the race won both the women's and men's coxless pairs yesterday. Alex Vierman and Alex Viney taking out the women's event. Ben Gibson and James Talbot, the men's race. So very much the favourites for this race, and unsurprising to see them comfortably in front. Almost 13 seconds now the lead for the Sydney Uni composite crew over Adelaide Uni, and also Drummoyne there in 3rd place.
Yeah, 3:34.86 through the halfway mark. It's certainly, they're certainly moving this 4 as they lead from the crew in lane number 3. Nikki Ayres in the bow seat, part of that Australian crew last year. Tavinia Lefroy, Paralympian from 2016. William Smith, very powerful guy there in the 3-seat. And Jed Altschwager, a silver medalist from the PR3 pair at the World Championships last year. Andrew Lee, who's cox for Australia at junior level, is in the coxswain seat. And they're coached by Renee Domashens, Joe Tamigi and Jason Lane. But the bow on screen of the crew in lane number 4, the leading boat, and Renee Domashens there in the bow of the boat, and Alexandra Viney there coming into screen. Villemin, Gibson and Talbot as they go about the task of laying down a very, very strong performance here in the PR3 mixed coxed 4, making their way up towards the 1500 metre mark, and they lead from the Torrens composite in 2nd position, and Drummoyne composite over in lane number 2. That's Bronte Marshall, William Clifton, Mac Russell and Julia Story. It was Mac Russell and Julia Story that took out the PR3 mixed double scull earlier this week. Priscilla Russell in the coxswain seat, and they're coached by Michael Russell, Kathleen Hextell and Kerry Thorne. They're just in 3rd spot at the top of the screen and heading through 1450 metres. But it's the Sydney University composite that leading through that 1500 metre mark from Adelaide University composite, and then the Drummoyne composite, and a very, very good race going on for 4th and 5th between the ANU composite and the Balmain composite, and then back to Team Hong Kong in 6th position.
And these mixed para rowing events, and we saw the mixed double scull yesterday, so they are on the World Championships program now. Not yet at the Paralympics.
The 4 Paralympic events. So, so the PR3 mixed double is a World Championship event, but not a Paralympic event. So Australia has won a medal in that previously with Jeremy McGrath and Kate Murdoch back in the 2014 World Championships. And at the moment, there's currently 8 rowers after the trials recently that will go to another set of trials in, I think, next month to determine the crews that Australia will send to the World Rowing Championships this year. But heading into the last 70 metres is the Sydney University, Sydney Rowing Club, Barwon Powerhouse and ANU boat of Renee Domashens, the coxswain, Alexandra Viney, Alex Villemin, Ben Gibson and James Talbot will take out the PR3 Mixed Cox 4 Championship of Australia. And they've gone through 7:13.65. That is certainly moving. And they have put in a very, very strong performance there. And they lead, taking out the win from the crew of Davinia Lefroy, Nikki Ayres, and looks like it's been a substitution there. Kevin Wall in the 3-seat from Balmain, and William Smith in the stroke seat from Adelaide University, and Andrew Lee, the coxswain. They claimed the silver medal, and bronze set to go to The crew stroked by Julia Story, who was a world champion in this event when it was called the Legs, Trunk and Arms Mixed Cox 4 at the 2003 World Rowing Championships. And the Drummoyne Composite claimed the bronze medal. Fantastic race going on for 4th and 5th place with the Balmain Nestles Composite crew just narrowly ahead of the ANU Balmain crew. And they're going to really fight it out all the way to the finish line. And it will be the Balmain Nestles crew that just get there in the end. They claim 4th. And 5th goes to ANU Balmain. And our visitors from Team Hong Kong, that's Ming Yui, Kelvin Law, Kun Man Chung, Winston Liu, and Hoi Ching Ip, and Soi Ying Wong, the coxswain of that boat. They will cross in 6th position.
So Team Hong Kong still approaching the finish line at the remainder of the field across now. Unofficially, Sydney Uni Composite, the lane 4 combination, certainly very comfortably across in 1st place. 2nd place was the Torrens Composite, or the Adelaide Uni Composite, as it is there on lane 3 in 2nd place. 3rd, the Drummoyne Composite crew over in lane 2. Balmain and Nestles just in 4th place ahead of ANU and Balmain, and just a few strokes remain for this Team Hong Kong combination, another of our international crews at this year's Sydney International Rowing Regatta. They'll be across the line shortly, but it was 7:13.65 the time for the Sydney Uni Composite winning crew, and a big margin of 24.76 seconds, so the national title goes to Sydney Uni, Sydney Barwon Powerhouse, and the Australian National University, as we now see Team Hong Kong taking their last couple of strokes to complete race 412, the final of the PR3 Mixed Coxed 4. The presentation of medals for the Under-23 Men's Quadruple Scull Championship of Australia. The medals will be presented by Sarah Cook, dual Olympian and counsellor, Rowing New South Wales. In 3rd place, and bronze medalists, the Sydney Rowing Club, Christopher McCarthy, Thomas Galloway, Torin Olsen, Max Brenner unable to be present. The crew was coached by Franz Imfeld and Donovan Seck. In 2nd place, and silver medalists, composite crew from Western Australia, from the Swan River Club, Patrick Bohr. From the Fremantle Rowing Club, David Latham. From the West Australian Rowing Club, Jonathan Ashby. From the West Australian Rowing Club, Oscar Winter. Crew was coached by Joe Tamiji, Tom Gatti and Mark Beer. The gold medalists and Australian champions for 2019. From the Capital Lakes Rowing Club, Alex Kraskowiak. From the Capital Lakes Rowing Club, Harry Glacken. From Griffith University Surfers Paradise, Jackson Free. And from Griffith University Surfers Paradise, Cormac Kennedy Leverett. Crew was coached by Marcus Free and Nick Garrett. Please congratulate the 2019 Australian champions and medalists. Closing stages here, Owen, of the Schoolgirls Cox Quad Scull. First semi-final with about 300 metres to race.
Yes, and very, very close here. Top 4 to go through. So, Phil, we have Sydney Girls in 1, MLC Q in 2, Kinross Wallaroy on screen there in lane 3, Wrighton Girls also on screen in 4, Laredo Normanhurst in 5, PLC Melbourne in 6, Cora Anglican Girls in 7, and MLC Q in 8. And Kinross Wallaroy, who are the winners at the New South Wales Schoolgirl Head of the River in the blue boat, and Wrighton Girls, who won 5 in a row at the head of the Schoolgirls in Victoria. Matt Wilson does a tremendous job there. They're the reigning national champions. Wrighton Girls, and they also have another boat in semi-final number 2 of this event, but they're looking at putting at least one boat into the final, and Kinross Wallaroy, who are there coached by our recent presenter Sarah Cook, that are set to join them also in the final. So these two have swapped the lead a little bit in the last 500 metres of this one. And in third spot we have Laredo Normanhurst, who are having a good race here with crew from Cora Anglican Girls in lane number 7, and they're followed by MLCQ in 5th position. But Kinross Wallaroy, a little bit too strong over the concluding stages. They take out the semi-final ahead of Wrighton Girls, 2nd spot. 3rd to go to Laredo Normanhurst, who are coached by Matt Curtin. And Cora Anglican Girls will place 4th. They're the 4 qualifiers for the A final. 5th to MLC from Q in Melbourne, Victoria. Sydney Girls will be 6th. 7th to PLC Melbourne. And the 2nd of the MLC Q crews will place 8th.
Kinross Wallaroy certainly wanted the centre lane. They're going for the win in the first semi-final of the Schoolgirls, coxed quad scull. They got across in first place ahead of Wrighton Girls, 3rd Laredo Normanhurst, 4th the Cora Anglican Girls School from Melbourne. They are the 4 qualifiers for the A final. Then MLC Q in lane 2 will finish 5th. Sydney Girls in 6th place. 7th PLC Melbourne, and 8th place also the MLC Q School from Melbourne. The bottom 4 going through to the B final. 7:23.69 the unofficial winning time there for Kinross Wallaroy, and 1.71 seconds is the adjusted margin. We have the second semi-final on the course as well, the Schoolgirls coxed quad scull. And the field up there. Lane 1, the MLC School. Lane 2, St Hilda's from Queensland. Lane 3, Wrighton Girls. Lane 4 is Stuart Home. Lane 5, PLC Perth. Lane 6 again, St Hilda's from Queensland. Lane 7, Gippsland Grammar from Victoria. And Lane 8, Strathcona, also from Melbourne.
And through that first 500 metres, it was St Hilda's from Queensland that led in 1:48.11 from PLC Perth in the centre of the course. Stuart Home alongside of them were in 3rd, and then Wrighton Girls in lane number 3 a further 0.18 back. Then back to Strathcona in 5th position. St Hilda's with their 2nd boat in 6th. MLC School on the far side in 7th, and Gippsland Grammar 2nd from the grandstand, or 2nd from the bottom of the screen, or left of the screen as we start to look at this field from this beautiful drone footage, which is just near the bridge area. You can see they're sitting at around about the 850 metre mark, that drone in the air, and we see the crew 4 from the far side, Stuart Home, that have had a good second 500 metres. They lead Wrighton Girls, and a very good race going on between St Hilda's, the early race leaders, and PLC Perth, who have seen a lot of their scullers in action earlier on throughout this first half a dozen days of racing here at the Aon Sydney International Rowing Regatta 2019.
And the Stuart Home School in front there. They were the winners of the Queensland Head of the River last year, getting the title for the first time in 20 years under the guidance of Emma McCarthy, the first aid coach who's coaching this crew. She's now actually also the director of rowing at the Stuart Home School in Brisbane. Thank you.
So just making their way through the 1,000 metre mark, and Stuart Home have hit the lead ahead of Wrighton Girls, who are certainly well placed here if they're going to try and qualify 2 crews for this A final tomorrow. St Hilda's in 3rd spot, PLC Perth in the centre of the course in lane 5. They're in 4th spot. Strathcona from Melbourne a further 4.8 seconds back, so they've got a bit of work to do in this back end of this one if they're going to get a top 4 spot to make it through to the A final. MLC School on the far side have moved up a spot from 7th to 6th. And Gippsland Grammar also doing the same up into 7th, and St Hilda's out of lane number 6 have dropped back to the tail of the field. So on screen, Stuart Home. In lane number 4, leading Wrighton Girls, Stuart Home, Sophia Tully, Lucy Hope, Emma Tucker, Ella Mackenzie, and Isabel Maley, the coxswain. And they lead Wrighton Girls with St Hilda's, Amy Taylor, Mia Fields, Sophie Coleman, Phoebe North, and Maggie Cameron, the coxswain. They're in 3rd spot. And almost at the centre of the screen is the 4th place crew from PLC Perth, and you can see some clear water between them and the bows of the chasing crews, with Strathcona right on this side of the course in lane 8. Now starting to come under a little bit of pressure from Gippsland Grammar, MLC School, and St Hilda's. So very close there for places 5, 6, 7 and 8, but top 4 is where you'd love to be if you're trying to make it through to the A final.
You mentioned Wrighton Girls winning there for the 5th year in a row. And at the head of the Schoolgirls, they won convincingly to almost 8 seconds their margin over Strathcona in 2nd place, presumably the crew that's in this race in about 5th place. So some work to do certainly for Strathcona to try and get through into the top 4.
Yeah, Matt Wilson does an absolutely amazing job down there. It took about 9 years to win his first one, but it's certainly, yeah, certainly been flooding in ever since. But it is the Stuart Home crew that lead, with a decent number of cyclists here following along the 40 competitors that we have out on the course in this race. And Stuart Home out to 3/4 of a boat length over Wrighton Girls, Emma Haberfield, Sophia Williams, Alice McNeil and India Curtin, with Kylie Delanoy, the coxswain, and coached by Matt Wilson and Chelsea Frawley. So through to the 1750 metre mark, and Stuart Home leading Wrighton, and still St Hilda's in 3rd spot, but some good finishes coming from the crew right on this side of the course, Strathcona, Gippsland Grammar and also PLC Perth, as they fight it out for that all-important 4th spot and a chance to progress through to the A final tomorrow morning. Otherwise, a B final will be where you'll be to try and rank somewhere between 9 and 16 in this very, very competitive Schoolgirl Cox Quad Scull event. But they've moved out to a length advantage, perhaps a little more. Yes, Stuart Home at the head of the field in the latter stages of this one. MLC School are finishing off quite well over on the far side of the course. They've just continued to work their way through this race and pick up some places. But picking up 1st place will be Stuart Home as semi-final number 2 winner in the Schoolgirl Cox Quad Scull. Wrighton Girls place 2nd, St Hilda's 3rd. PLC Perth are going to hold on for 4th spot. That margin has been eroded a little bit, but they're going to hold on and go through to the A final. MLC School place 5th, just ahead of Strathcona in 6th, Gippsland Grammar in 7th, and the 2nd St Hilda's boat will be 8th.
Presentation of medals for the PR3 Mixed Coxed 4 Championship of Australia. Medals will be presented by Greg Melbourne, Counsellor, Rowing South Australia. In 3rd place and bronze medalists, a composite crew from the Balmain Rowing Club, Bronte Marshall. From the Leichhardt Rowing Club, William Clifton. The University of Queensland Boat Club, Mac Russell. From the Drummoyne Rowing Club, Julia Story. Crew was coxed by Priscilla Russell from the University of Queensland Boat Club. Coached by Michael Russell, Kathleen Hextall and Kerry Thorne. In second place and silver medalists, a composite crew of from the West Australian Rowing Club, Davinia Lefroy. The Capital Lakes Rowing Club, Nikki Ayres. From Balmain, Kevin Wall. And from Adelaide University, William Smith. And from the Sydney University Boat Club, Andrew Lee. The crew was coached by Renee Domishens, Joe Tamiji and Jason Lane. Gold medalists and Australian champions for 2019. Composite crew from Powerhouse, Alex Vierman. From Barwon, Alexandra Viney. From the Sydney Rowing Club, Ben Gibson. From the Sydney University Boat Club, James Talbot. From the Australian National University, Renee Domishens. Crew was coached by Lizzie Chapman, Jeffrey Boucher and Hannah Every Hall. Please congratulate the 2019 Australian champions and medalists.